development, newfound suppleness. These are a couple of bits that you need to make sure that you've got. I just wanted to twist. I've got this brilliant handstand fail that you definitely need to check out. Yo, what's going on, guys? Rhys here from More Than Lifting with the More Than Lifting podcast. Conversations about calisthenics, bodyweight training, gymnastics, all that good stuff. I'm Rhys, a personal trainer from the UK and founder of More Than Lifting, and in this episode we're going to be talking about the 6 key elements of your calisthenics training. Okay, we've spoken a lot about strength because it is one of the most important ones, and we've spoken a bit about skills because that's probably the most fun. But if you want to get some serious results doing this bodyweight stuff, you want to start learning these advanced skills and you want to be able to achieve these things, which you can absolutely do, and there's no reason that you couldn't do any of this stuff. All you got to do is make sure you do the right training. But how can you ensure that you are doing the right stuff? Okay, if you're not going through a program of any kind, you're just kind of working it out yourself, then these are a few elements of your training that you need to make sure that you're covering. All right, because if you're not, then one part of your training will suffer, and then it's going to slow you down. It's going to dishearten you, and eventually it's going to cause you to pack it in and forget about it all. And we don't want that, because you want to do crazy skills, and I want you to learn some crazy skills too. All right, so these elements, okay, it sounds like it's going to be another episode with loads of rules and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be so crazy. In fact, actually, it's kind of liberating in a way, because it means that you don't have to do so much hardcore training all the time. You can just relax a couple of days and still push you towards your goals quite comfortably, and you can be sitting there safe in the knowledge that you've done enough. Okay, so with each of these elements, before we get started, each of these elements come into all my programs as individual days a lot of the time, because that's just an easy way to split it all up. All right, so just before we go into stuff, I'm going to talk about a lot of these in the context of individual workouts, and that's all right. Okay. So the first one is cardio. All right, so you got to be doing some kind of cardio, guys. I know it sucks, but you kind of have to. And I just recommend you do HIIT training because it's fast, it's efficient, and you can get it over and done with quickly, and it builds like grit and willpower as well. And it helps to increase your recovery time as well, which means you can take on your other workouts a lot heavier because you can recover faster, which is a really important part of your training. The other day I was at gymnastics, and I was trying this negative planche press, all right, which is a handstand and you leave it down into a planche. Basically, it's a transition between two skills, which we've spoken about, and it's a really good example, a very difficult one, and I couldn't actually stop while I was doing it, so I got really close. I slowed right down. You can check it out, actually. I posted it on Instagram. The first one was my first attempt and second, and you can see the difference between them. But a couple of the guys were like, how can you do so much planche training in one workout? We'd been at gymnastics for an hour and a half, and I was trying these planche press negatives. Yeah, so they were like, how the fuck can you do that? And that is a big part of it, being able to recover fast. Okay, because if you can't recover, you can't flush all the stuff out your muscles, all the waste, and fill it back up with bundles of energy quickly. And that's important. That aspect of your training is really important, and it's stuff people don't think about. And you don't really need to think about it. You just need to do HIIT training, and that's your cardio sorted, and it's awesome, even though it sucks. And yeah, so that's HIIT. All right, so next then is the fun one, skills. All right, we've spoken about skills. This is dedicated time for you to progress on your skills. Now, it's not strength training, okay, but it usually includes elements of strength, because that's what you're training a skill. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you can just do 1,000 handstands and that's cool. Like, you've got to have a focus for that. Can be your handstand, but the actual workout, the training you're going to do are going to be more like drills based on that. So it might be like negative presses, it might be handstand walking, it might be wall support, shoulder taps, it might be handstand push-ups, you know, wall support or not, different variations. And you might be working on your balance, trying to go from one arm to another, like just spreading your distribution of weight over your arms and stuff like that. It might be presses from a crow stand, it might be negative presses, it could, all this stuff is specific skill training, okay? And it's not just for handstands, you can do it for any skill, all right? And that is how ultimately you're going to go from that is the skill part, that's the dedicated skill training, is how you're really going to achieve your skills. Everything else you can do, but unless you're doing this, you're not really going to work on your skills very much. So that's the actual skills part, like dedicated skills part of your program. Next, okay, skills training, by the way, we're going to talk about this in the context of different cycles, but here we're just talking about individual workouts. And so yeah, these skills, like as we've spoken in the one workout framework before, where you kind of combine in everything, that you would do your skill stuff right at the start, and then you do your strength, then you do your finishers. But with this, you're talking about an individual skill workout, so it'd just be handstand day, you know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily need to be super strict, but you need to have structure in your workouts. So think about front loading your training, think about how much energy you have throughout your workout and the amount of time you've got, and then think about what skills and conditioning work and progression exercises you can do in that time, and how to kind of line them up. So you start with the hardest and work your way down to the easiest, you know what I mean? Because if you're doing this by yourself, like just doing that, front loading your training and structuring your workouts properly right from the get-go is going to help you so much. All right, so that's enough about that. Anyway, we're moving on to the next one. Guys, I go on so much about trying to make these podcasts short because I've got like a 10-minute, it's supposed to be a 10-minute thing. I'm at 7 minutes already or something like that. We've only done 2 of them. Oh my god. So the next one is the boring one, strength. Now I say it's boring, actually this is quite fun because you forget that with your strength training you're incorporating skills as well. So with your variations, like advanced variations, they're very skill dominant because you're controlling and coordinating. You're not just doing basic movement patterns necessarily, so whether it's archers or typewriters or Hindu push-ups or Russian dips or Koreans or something, anything, you know, all these exercises, just your basic movement pattern variations, work as strength exercises, and they will help you condition your skills, but they are predominantly strength based. Okay, so I'm telling you this because that is an important distinction to have. These kind of basic movement pattern exercises and skill exercises, they're different, they're separate things, separate entities. There is crossover with different skills and different variations, of course, but ultimately, when you're doing your archer pulls and your Russian dips, you work in strength, not really skills so much. And then when you're doing negative handstands and flagged specific training and stuff like that, that's more skill stuff. Okay, so just a quick distinction for guys who haven't listened to a lot of the other podcast episodes, or I just haven't explained it too well, because it's probably a bit of both, let's face it. So your strength stuff, this is like your triceps, you know what I mean, where you really focus that pull, push, core exercise, or isometric. There's no reason you can't do isometrics, but you, like I said before, having a dynamic exercise really maximizes those results. You can do an isometric anyway. You can do a hold right at the end, like finishing an L-sit, but doing a leg raise, for example, is better than just doing an L-sit. So strength, that's that one. Then the next one, the next couple, they're lower level stuff. All right, they're lower level stuff. First, we've got mobility work. Okay, and you can work this kind of all the time, just like you can kind of work your strength all the time, and you can. But the truth is that you're not going to get particularly mobile and a lot more flexible without any dedicated training for it. Like my splits, my straddle hasn't improved much in my entire time of doing gymnastics, because I only really stretch my straddle once or twice a week when I go to gymnastics. The rest of the time, I'm not working on my straddle, so it's not improving. Yeah, it's more of like a maintenance thing of like loosen as much as my muscles will allow me, and now because I'm not working on it directly and dedicated focused training on it, it's not particularly going anywhere. Okay, now I need to start working on that with kind of stuff with my shoulders, because I'm working my hollow back. Like, I need to open up my shoulders a bit more. So that mobility work I can't do. That kind of intense, well, I say intense, it's not really intense, but it's intense in terms of stretching, you know. So this kind of mobility work has to be done separately, because otherwise you overstretch your muscles and then you try and go training and you can injure yourself. So you need to do them separately. And we have in the programs, and when I do my coaching with clients one-to-one and stuff like that, we always have mobility days where you just do some stretches, you do them for longer. There's a couple of specific drills and stuff we'll do for certain types of issues, but they vary a lot of the time person to person. But there's a lot of principles, things you can do like bridges and stuff like that, which will help with that kind of those kind of issues, you know. And you can work that in a strength/skill environment as well with exercises like German hangs. But the truth is, like, you still need dedicated mobility work time. Okay. So that's it. Sorry guys. Good news is you can do a lot of it in front of the TV at home, like, so when you have your rest days, then you can just use those as mobility days, and just make sure you spend kind of 15-20 minutes just doing some stretches. It's not hard, you know what I mean? It's not that long either. So just do it, and then you progress. If anyone says, oh yeah, I can't, my shoulders, and I don't have the mobility, it's like, well, just do the scapular work, just do the scapular exercises, because that helps with the mobility and strength and stability and everything. And then they're like, yeah, and then you next talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, I'm really struggling with my shoulders. Like, have you been doing your scapular stuff? Well, no, not really. Well, then you're going to struggle still. So all you got to do is follow the steps, and then that's it. And then you get those results. So just make sure you're doing your mobility work, and then you can become more mobile. I know, it's amazing. So the next one, all right, is low-level drills and conditioning. Okay, we've touched a little bit on this when I said about bridges, but this is not for mobility as such as low-level strength and just general tension isometric skills. So this is stuff like hollow body work, flutter kicks, stability things like your shoulder taps and your handstand, and wall walks, so another one, L-sit leg lifts, things that aren't, they're exercises that aren't necessarily big strength builders, and they're not necessarily big skill builders, but what they do is they will help build that fundamental stability and control and coordination that will translate both sides. So what you're helping is to use, you're helping to develop the control and muscle activation of different parts of your body. Well, actually, all of your body, not just different parts of it, but getting used to being upside down is one of them, getting used to being stable on your hands, like that inverted kind of hand stability, things like crow stands and that. Wall walks are really good for that. And then you've got things like your hollow body stuff, which is just good for great muscle tension across your body, your core. It'll help with your posture, and all kinds of just great benefits from these simple little exercises and potentially boring drills. And I've spoken about making these kind of fun before in an earlier episode of the podcast, where you kind of try and combine them, string them together, transition from one to another, and just have a bit of fun with it. And this will help with your mobility a little bit as well, because it'll help you apply your newfound suppleness. But it's not specific mobility training, but it will help you learn to coordinate yourself, and it's like subtle training. And it's the best way I can really describe it, because it's not, it doesn't seem intense enough a lot of the times to be actually benefiting you, but it actually does quite a lot. Like, if you see me doing the 100 push-up challenge, you see me right at the start of struggling with like my T push-ups, and which is one of the hardest things that we stuck in right at the start. It is intense, and it was really difficult. I almost fell over in one of the live show, videos, because that stability I was lacking a little bit. I've worked on different elements of that, like side planks, and trying to do like one arm side push-ups, and although I'm not really doing that, like I'm just doing really small reps and just working that control and movement, and just things like that where you can just change an exercise slightly and work your body in a totally different way. That's where these kind of low-level drills and conditioning exercises come into play, and applying the transitions and the little tweaks, like I was just saying, allow you to take that to the next level in terms of your development, but actually enjoy it more as well, because it's more interactive, it's more playful and fun. And this brings us on to the next one. All right, the next one is a kind of a bonus one. It's freestyle. All right, and sometimes you got to have a day or like a session where you can do whatever you like. All right, you're off the structure, and this is a lot of the time what gymnastics is about for me, because I can just go and there's the rings there, there's the P-bars, the high bar, there's a foam pit if I want to do some kind of tumbling stuff, there's the floor, there's little parallettes. I've got all the equipment I need around just to do whatever I like, and it's fun, it's engaging, and you know, there's a couple of us there go around, try loads of different stuff, and then you get bored of one particular thing, or you try that for a while, and then you move over and you try something different. And this is a time where you discover skills and discover your progress, stuff that you didn't realize. Like I was speaking earlier about this planche, this negative press. I've tried that once or twice before. All right, the first time I would have tried it would have been years ago, before I could planche, just to give it a go and to struggle intensely with it. And then the next time was a couple of weeks ago, where I just kind of tried a whim for fun, because I just thought, why not? And I fell over, I face planted, and that's just what it happens, you know. But that shows my progress, because without even training it, just training other elements, working on other parts of my training, that has improved, and I've almost managed to acquire that skill. And now that I can see it on the horizon, like I'm serious about it. That planche press, like that's suddenly a serious skill, because I can now do almost negatives. All right, and this is another point as well, guys. Like, that wasn't a skill for me. That wasn't something I was focused on. All right, I could do my straddle, my straddle isn't the best straddle planche you've ever seen. I can't do like any more advanced push-up variations or anything like that. I need them for the 100 push-up challenge later in the year, and I'm working on it. But these were never things that I thought I would achieve. I didn't really think I'd get a planche press, but now I can almost, all right, and I can't quite do this yet, but I can almost come down from handstand into straddle, the straddle planche. So now, suddenly, it's now possible for me, because it's only a few steps away, for me to learn to do a planche press, which is going back up again, basically. Whether you come down and up into it, or whether you just go into your planche and then press up into a handstand, it's really the pushing up into the press, the lever up into a handstand part that's that transition, you know. So I can only almost do negatives, so I can't actually do the negative to hold yet. I can just do the negative and kind of slow down a lot, you know. But I can't do it. But now I see that it's possible. Yeah, now it's suddenly a skill that I can acquire. Now I get excited about it, and I allow myself to get excited about it, because now I'm going to work on it, and now I want to achieve it, because now suddenly it's a thing. You know, it's a real thing. It's an achievable, realistic goal, something that I can see I would be able to do maybe if I work on it one time in the future. All right, and that's how this belief kind of sets in, where anyone can achieve this stuff. Okay, and looking at it from when I started to now doing this planche press, like I never thought I'd be able to do it. I couldn't do a planche, so why would I think I could do a handstand to planche and back? I have no idea. Like, I couldn't. So yeah, I never worried about it. Why would I worry about something like that? But I followed the steps. I focused on other stuff that was within my grasp. I followed up the little steps, doop, 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 all the way to almost a negative, which like it's almost a negative. It's not even a negative. Yeah. So compare this to something like pull-ups. If you're at that kind of stage now, and you can't do a negative pull-up, but you can almost do a negative pull-up. Okay, so with the negative pull-up, you're not stopping, so you kind of just can do it. But say you can't do it for like 5 seconds, or come down to an iso hold, like halfway. That doesn't mean you can't achieve pull-ups, yeah? Because what that actually means is pull-ups are within your grasp, because you can almost do some of the more advanced progressions that are going to take you there. Once you can do those exercises, all you got to do is get good at them, and then you'll be able to start doing the actual real life full pull-ups. Yeah, so that's just another example of how this stuff can be achieved by anyone. All you have to do is follow the steps. All right, and we kind of got off this freestyle thing, but like I said, freestyle is just where you have a fun little time at your training session to just do what you want, okay? And you don't have these every week or every other day or anything like that, but you are allowed to do them because you need to have that time where you can just do other stuff. If you're doing a program, or if you're a client of mine, as you develop, you want to be able to try stuff, and you want to be able to just enjoy yourself with your newfound strength and skills, okay? And if you've got strict programs, yeah, which you will have strict programs, but you need to be able to work within those boundaries and be able to work on your freestyle stuff, work on trying new skills, trying new variations just for fun, because that's all right, it's allowed. You're supposed to enjoy the process, okay? And speaking of which, I've been working on these, like I said about these one-arm handstands in the last episode. I've managed to do 3 one-arm handstands. All right, and so I tried them, gymnastics again, and I just wanted to twist. I can't really explain it, but I've got this brilliant handstand fail that you definitely need to check out at More Than Lifting on Instagram, because it's hilarious. Yeah, so there's one other, all right, a bonus one for you, and that is a complete session. All right, and the complete session we've already covered, like the one workout framework where you do your skills and your strength, and you're working like your low-level conditioning exercises in one workout. All right, and this has a knock-on effect of helping with your cardio, and you can use the end of the session to kind of help your mobility. But like I say, you kind of, to really progress with your mobility, you need to do it separately. Just like Corey was saying in the episode of the podcast when Corey comes on, it needs to be worked in his dedicated time. You can't really work your strength and your mobility in one session, which kind of sucks, but complete anyway. Enables you to do your skills, your strength, and your low-level conditioning exercises in one. That's the one workout framework, which we've spoken about before. Go and check out that podcast, or go to morethanlifting.com/ the one workout framework. I don't know, that URL sounds really complicated. What you should do is just check out the podcast episode. It's only a couple of episodes back, and it explains exactly what I mean by this. You do your skill training right at the start, then you transition into strength, your strength tricep, that foundation tricep, and then you go on to we use the beginner tricep as the example. You can use conditioning exercises and low-level drills as well. It's just doing those finishers, which is pushing your body to the limit and maximizing those strength gains. All right, so how did we do on time? Right, guys, I have rushed through a lot of these things, but I do want to try and keep these episodes short, because it's just so easy for me to ramble on and on and on about stuff and not go anywhere. So that's it for this episode. If you like what you've heard, give us a subscribe, share us with your mates, your training partners, and other guys you know, people you know who are trying to achieve certain skills like this, people who this could help, this information could actually help out. If you're interested in taking your training to the next level, jump on the 12-week Calisthenics program. Go to morethanlifting.com/12 weeks. We include all of this stuff in the program. Okay, we incorporate all these elements, so you don't have to think about this and worry about it and stress out about it and not progress, hit plateaus, and you know, all the other problems that come along with struggling to work this out by yourself. I've done it. You know, I've told you all about my struggles. I couldn't do pull-ups for ages. But I've created these systems to help people. I've created this program to guide you through this process. So if you want to get these results, jump on the program, guys. All you have to do is go to morethanlifting.com/12 weeks. There's information there about it. You can get started right away. And yeah, I really look forward to seeing you in there. I will catch you on the inside. And otherwise, check me out on the socials at More Than Lifting everywhere. If you got any questions or comments, reach out to me on Instagram's probably best, on the DM, or on Facebook Messenger. You can just message me. And yeah, if you want to get started, guys, go to morethanlifting.com/foundation. All right, you can download the free workout, the foundation workout, which I've spoken about absolutely loads in this podcast because it is used as a template for your training. You can use it as a template, so it's absolutely free. You can download it. There's a full guide where I talk about using it for progressions and using the variations and stuff in it, how to progress with just this as a template. Loads of great information in there, warm-up, exercise guide, everything included. Of course, go to morganmitchell.com/foundation for that. Otherwise, guys, keep in touch with yourselves. Send me cool videos of you doing epic skills because I love chatting with you guys, and I will catch you in the next episode. I'll speak to you then.